We'll move on to the round 4, and this time we will start with Mr. Georges. This question will be asked by Olinda Ricard.
Thank you. Mr. Georges, from 1932 to 2000, coastal Louisiana lost 1,900 square miles of land, roughly the size of the state of Delaware. What are your plans to protect Louisiana's wetlands and disappearing coastline?
A very important question, particularly for someone from Nichols State University. I have a plan, and my plan involves Nichols State University being on the forefront of environmental research in collaboration with LSU and University of New Orleans, because through collaboration, we're going to address the wetlands issue in Louisiana once and for all. There's going to be billions of dollars of research money going into that program, unfortunately, but we want that to go right into our university system. I will sell the tobacco bonds if I have to in order to put up the state's match for dealing with the wetlands issue. It's a very serious issue in Louisiana, particularly in Nichols State University. Your university will be on the forefront. You'll be the host university right there getting all those research dollars, dealing with the issue of wetlands and the environmental impact. And I think that that's a very good question, and I'm glad you asked it.
All right, and Mr. Campbell.
Well, I'm 40 miles from Arkansas. That's where I live, in Elm Grove, Louisiana. And I'm the guy running talking about coastal erosion. It's sort of amazing. I have a plan. I'm not going to sell anything. I'm going after the people who cause coastal erosion. Isn't it funny to you that we know that major oil companies and foreign oil companies have caused up to 50% of coastal erosion, and yet we don't have any politicians in the state of Louisiana asking them to fix the mess they caused? Now, if somebody knocks your fence over, you're going to find out who knocked it over, and you're going to ask them to fix the fence. Well, where are the politicians in Louisiana? We have a $50 billion problem, not a $10 billion problem, a $50 billion problem. If something's not done, suburban New Orleans will be next in line, and the next storm will even be worse. I will ask the people who caused the problem to pay their fair share. 50% of $50 billion is $25 billion. We've never even got them in the same room to ask them, would you help pay for this? You know why? Our politicians in Louisiana are much, much too cozy with the big oil companies. They don't want to ask the people who caused the problem to fix it, because that's where they get their campaign funds from.
All right, Mr. Campbell, thank you. And Mr. Boiseau.
I'm going to take a different approach. I've been a senator now for 4 years, and my district of 122,000 people were all affected by the storm. I have 100,000 people that have lost everything. We cannot wait for the federal government to bail us out. We cannot wait for anyone. We got to take the steps to move forward. When I was chairman of the Port of New Orleans representing St. Bernard Parish, we were the only state agency in Louisiana to own and operate dredges. You could buy dredges for $6 million apiece. What I would do as governor, and start immediately, because I have no interest in studying studies. We've seen people take the test. I would start moving dirt. We know we need two things. We need layers of protection. You have to start on the outside and begin the coastal restoration in the sense of rebuilding our barrier islands, and then you have to place storm surge barriers in place. And we know if we could slow the water down from 12 to 24 hours before a storm comes, we have a chance of surviving it. I'm going to do it the physical, practical ways to protect ourselves.
Time is up, Mr. Boiseau. Thank you very much. We'll move on to our 5th round of questioning now, and we'll begin this one with Mr. Campbell, and this question will be asked by James Clark.
Thank you. In the wake of the hurricanes, we have seen a revitalization of tourism in the Big Easy, while other areas are rebounding more slowly. What specific steps will you take to ensure all South Louisiana recovers?
Well, I have a plan of a new tax plan for oil and gas that comes off our coast into the state of Louisiana today. No foreign oil is taxed. I would put a fee on it. I would make it equal to the oil that's in the state of Louisiana. Only today, people in Louisiana pay the tax, Mr. Chavez pays nothing. By doing that, we can raise about $5 to $6 billion a year. I will spend the money in taking off the income tax, rejuvenating the economy, having no income tax, no corporate income tax, just like Texas, just like Florida, just like Tennessee, just like Nevada and Wyoming. The fastest growing states in the United States, the richest states, have no income income tax. Get the income tax off, take the money, and put it in people's housing, rebuild the hospitals, and rebuild the coast. It's an action plan that only I have, and the only criticism I have is from the oil companies. But what I would say to anybody who criticizes it, if you don't like my plan, what's your plan?
Thank you, Mr. Campbell. And Mr. Boisseau.
Good question. You have to look short-term and long-term. First thing I will do in the greater New Orleans area, we got to solve crime and crime now. We have to be serious about what we are doing, and as governor, I will supply all resources available to me for the greater New Orleans area to stop the crime situation. I told you about my other crime plan. That is a long-term solution. The next thing is that I would rebuild a university hospital in New Orleans. What we knew before the storm, the two biggest economic development engines we had was the tourism and convention industry and the medical industry. With universities such as Tulane and Xavier and Loyola, you got to have a medical institution next to it because it's so important in pulling the whole scenario together. When it comes to rest of South Louisiana, one thing we all got to think about, we one hurricane away from bankruptcy in South Louisiana. It's only going to take one more time. And that's why I know we cannot continue to study studies. We have to start moving dirt and do something now for our coastline and not wait for someone else to take care of it.
Thank you, Mr. Boisseau. And now Mr. Georges.
Well, I can criticize Foster's plan because I have the Georges plan. And my plan involves economic development. It involves taking the lieutenant governor and putting him in charge of 8 regional economic development regions. We've taken, the governor was, Blanco was willing to put $400 million to almost $1 billion in one project in one parish. My plan would be to take that money, put it into 8 economic development regions, let the local people in the regions decide what their economic priorities are, working with the lieutenant governor's office. But I also have a plan to have a recovery director, somebody that's a dynamic individual to get us past the hurricane. Tourism in New Orleans affects tourism in the rest of the state. I've been around the state, tourism down everywhere. New Orleans is hurting. It's not back on its feet. We need to get the recovery over with in New Orleans so the rest of the state doesn't have to pay the bills and our economy will get back together. I will rebuild Charity Hospital in New Orleans, but I'll also prioritize tourism and economic development through the Lieutenant Governor's office.
All right, thank you, Mr. Georges. We'll begin our 6th round of questioning now with Mr. Boisseau. This question will be